Let's head to Tuscaloosa inside a big recruiting weekend at Alabama. Kalen DeBoer and his staff coming off of a really successful weekend. Last weekend, they hosted another big visit weekend. Let's start with Justin Hill, because he's the edge rusher out of Cincinnati who earlier in the spring was trending towards Alabama, then takes a visit to Ohio State. All the picks start going in for Ohio State. He's trending toward the Buckeyes. But this weekend, back in Tuscaloosa, where are the Tides sitting after this weekend's visit with Justin Hill?
1 or 2. They got a great chance to land this coveted front seven player. And I say front seven because he could play inside backer, outside backer, defensive end. You could scheme him into a number of spots. And I think his time with Quay Russaw at Alabama was huge this weekend. The way Quay Russaw talked about this new staff and the way they're scheming him and how he thinks he's going to be electric within that defense. I think that resonated with Justin Hill. He's got family members that love Alabama, so there's certainly some people around him that would be excited for him to play in Tuscaloosa as well. He spent a lot of time with Kalen DeBoer, Kane Womack, Christian Robinson, Freddie Roach. Aaron Hodges was kind of his host, one of the top off-field recruiting guys in the country. So he feels close to several members on the coaching staff. I think he feels best about Alabama's scheme, them and Oregon. I think Oregon has done a good job showing him his potential schematically too, and he'll be at Oregon this weekend. But I just think proximity and how easy it is to get to Alabama compared to Oregon and then Bama, their pedigree of developing players stands out to him. And then the other thing on the Justin Hill visit to Alabama that really stood out to me, he liked Alabama under the previous regime. They were one of his top schools when Nick Saban was holding down that corner office. But he likes the new staff better. And he's like, I know that Nick Saban was part of the old staff, but I also consider him part of the new staff. So Nick Saban still has a presence around that building. And obviously Coach Saban believes in Coach DeBoer and this new staff. So having Coach Saban's blessing, I just think that Alabama's, I have the RPM in on Ohio State coming out of that visit May 31st, where he got a lot of questions answered. But I just think he's very comfortable with the way he'll be used at Alabama. I think this one's going to come down to the wire between those two schools, and Oregon's going to try and change the way we talk about this recruitment this coming weekend. But phenomenal visit to Alabama. They're recruiting a potential top 5 class. Justin Hill is one of their most coveted targets moving forward, regardless of position. And he felt that this weekend with the amount of time he spent with Kalen DeBoer, Kane Womack, the other staff members, and then the players on the team.
But you're not changing your pick?
Not just yet, because we'll see what this visit high looks like. We'll see what the Oregon visit's like. But there is definitely a chance that my pick is on Alabama before his decision date in early July.
All right. Now, how about your pick on Jackson Lloyd? Are you still feeling good about the Tide coming out of this one? Because he did visit Ohio State recently, and there was a lot of buzz coming out of that one that Jackson Lloyd, who's from California, really liked the Buckeyes. But what do you think after his official visit to Alabama this weekend?
Well, one of the first RPMs I logged when coming over to On3 was Jackson Lloyd to Alabama. I do think that Ohio State with 2 visits gave me some pause there, but coming out of this official visit to Alabama, talking to several sources that spent time with him, sharing notes with Bama Online publisher Tim Watts and others, I'm feeling good about my Alabama RPM. I'm riding that one right now. Would not be surprised if he's one of the next in the fold for the Crimson Tide. He's got this USC official visit scheduled for the weekend. But there was talk even coming out of that Ohio State trip that USC would not happen. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's in decision mode. And if he landed back in California feeling the same way that he felt when he left Tuscaloosa, I think this is lining up very well for Alabama, for them to land one of their top targets at one of their remaining positions of need down the stretch as they try and sign a special offensive line recruiting class. They got the Utu kid from Bishop Gorman there, a front runner for, along with Oregon and Michigan. He's out there. Micah DeBose is another one that they could be in pole position for. But Jackson Lloyd, he's the guy that all eyes are in on right now, and I like Alabama.
Yeah, and they're also a sleeper for 5-star Ty Haywood as well. So we'll see what Kalen DeBoer can do.
More than a sleeper there. And they get their crack at David Sanders this week. They're bringing in Khalil Lockett and David Sanders, 2 5-stars for midweek visits. Khalil Lockett, Josh, we're going off the rails. Official visit to Florida State this weekend. Each visit, he says, really cloudies up his recruitment. Texas gets the last one. That's where my RPM is. He's at Texas this coming weekend, but he had great visits to Florida State, Texas A&M, and LSU. Now he added this midweek to Alabama because he's talked to Keelan Russell about possibly playing with him. Jamarcus Shepard does an outstanding job recruiting wide receivers. He's one of the hottest receiver coaches in the country with what he did at Washington, what he did at Purdue before that. So he also made a strong case to Travis Smith this week, the on 300 receiver that we like Georgia for, with Tennessee as the dark horse. Maybe Alabama's a dark horse now as well.
Yeah, I think the flip of Keelan Russell definitely accelerated things with Khalil Lockett. We'll see what Alabama can do as he is set to step on campus really any minute now. He has a Monday official visit, so we'll see how that goes, and we'll cover that as it ends. Couple flip targets we got to talk about here at Alabama. A pair of running backs were on campus over the weekend, A.K. Deere and Harry Dalton. Alabama have a shot at flipping either of these guys?
Yeah, A.K. Deere said the visit was dope. People were amazing. New staff from Washington is fire. That's how the kids talk these days, Joshua. But he said Alabama's always showed him love, even after he committed. That started with Coach Gillespie, but he feels it from the whole coaching staff. He said they're always going to be a top-tier school and a powerhouse. And then a source close to A.K. Deere told me he's always loved Bama. So committed to Ole Miss. We know Ole Miss isn't going to roll over there. They were able to get him in the fold early. They do a good job on coveted in-state targets, but Alabama is definitely one to watch, if not the one to watch, if he does ultimately flip. Texas A&M swinging there as well. Then you got Harry Dalton, committed to USC out of Dinwiddie County in Virginia. He's an on 300 running back. Charles Power and the gang higher on him than the rest of the industry. Alabama's in the thick of that one as well. He's going to be at USC this coming weekend. Final decision expected shortly after that. So Alabama moved the needle with Harry Dalton as well.
All right, Alabama fans, let us know, how do we feel about the weekend? Do you think Jackson Lloyd will be the next to commit? And what do you think? A.K. Deere, Harry Dalton, are they flippable? Let us know. Comment section below.